And today this is sort of kind of going to be like a quick discussion video. I kind of want to talk about why Mr. Freeze is a great Batman villain. Now, I put emphasis on Batman villain because I myself don't necessarily consider him a villain. I consider him more like an anti-hero / anti-villain, because down to it, like under the body armor, under all the ice, and like the cold-heartedness, Mr. Freeze is just a guy who wants his wife to be saved. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of an origin / backstory on Mr. Freeze. So basically, Mr. Freeze had no like emotional backstory. He had no legitimate motive. When he was first introduced, he was just a guy who wanted to free stuff and steal money. But then, come around the time in the 90s when Batman the Animated Series first came around, we got a new revamped origin for Mr. Freeze, and it showed this scientist whose wife had, I'm not entirely sure what disease. I know in the Gotham TV show and in Batman and Robin it was McGregor syndrome, and then I think I don't know if I'm wrong or not, but I think one of in one version in continuity she had cancer. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that was in Batman. No, McGregor syndrome was in Batman and Robin. But anyway, so yeah, so basically he wanted to save his wife from this disease, and the company he worked at, GothCorp, they didn't help him because they found out he was trying to cure her with their technology. So what they did was they tried to stop him from saving his wife. But then a freak accident happened, and he ended up getting doused in chemicals, and then he became Mr. Freeze. You know, he could only be in sub-zero temperatures or else he'll die. And then he lived out the rest of his days camping out wherever he could in Gotham, trying to help his wife, or trying to save his wife while she's in cryostasis. Now, when I say, so down to it, Mr. Freeze just wants to save his wife because this is like the love of his life. You know, they were actually kind of like an odd couple because Mr. Freeze was the scientist while Nora was a more athletic person when they met, but they just clicked, and Nora became Freeze's love of his life. And so this whole time, that's all Mr. Freeze wanted. And even in the Batman Beyond cartoon show, Nora ended up getting cured, and what happened was Mr. Freeze lost I think all he had left was his head. But then Nora moved on, got married to someone else. I don't know if she had kids with someone else or not, but they ended up getting married, and she was happy. And Mr. Freeze himself was very happy because of that, because he saw his Nora happy. And Mr. Freeze has always been like a very interesting villain. First of all, he's more of a brain over brawn sort of person, in the sense that if you were to get into a fight with Mr. Freeze, he's a more calculated, strategic person. Like in the Batman Arkham City boss fight, when you fight Mr. Freeze, every time you do a certain attack on him, like say you take him out from the ledge, you do like a drop kick from the ledge, he will freeze the ledges so you can't get onto the ledges, and that just really shows like more so the minds at the developers of the game, but it also shows how Mr. Freeze's resourcefulness, because he's a genius. And at the end of it all, Mr. Freeze is just a guy who wants to save the love of his life. Even in Batman Arkham Knight, it was revealed when you first see him in the DLC side mission that he said that the militia approached him and said if they get Batman, then they'll help him. Then they'll give him Nora. So Mr. Freeze was willing to capture Batman for Nora, but then we figure out, he double crossed the militia and decided, hey, I know they're not gonna help me, so I'm gonna have Batman try and help me. And even then, at the end of the DLC, Nora, we figure out that Nora has no chance of living, and even after everything Mr. Freeze tried to do, she still didn't survive, which sucks. At least in that universe. In the mainstream DC universe, last time I saw Mr. Freeze was in the All-Star Batman pages, but nothing really like significant happened. I think Batman just beat him. I haven't read All-Star Batman in a really long time. That story was kind of confusing. But it was pretty well written by Scott Snyder. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, and if you want some more content of me just rambling on about comic books and video games and stuff, then subscribe if you want. But yeah, that's gonna do it for
I've been down and out with myself, living life inside of my shell. I've been trying to cope with no help, living life inside my own hell. I've been trying to find a way out, wrote these raps to find a new sound. Still don't know what life's all about, and life ain't easier with these doubts. But I put the mask on, write rap songs, make hits so I don't feel sad long. I stay strong, that's what I do. I tell myself to inspire you, so I say